Please don't mind the mess. But because I asked you guys on what should be my next video, I think there was a mix of everything that you needed. But the most voted one was Classic Recommendation Part 2. I also believe that I have delayed that video for the longest now, and last time I posted the video was around 2-3 months back, if I'm not wrong. So I thought, why not take that vote into consideration and film my favorite, like the next 5 favorite classics of mine that I highly recommend, and why do I recommend that, and all of those things about classics, because I am assuming from the love that you have given me on that video and from the votes that you kind of love classics just as I do. So I have curated a list of 5 books that are quite short, so it won't be taking a lot of your time, neither will it intimidate you in any way. So before we start, let me take you through my classic shelf. Now I have classics quite distributed and scattered all across the room. This one space that you see here is my classic space, and obviously these are as well, but these are fantasy, so we are talking about classics. My entire shelf is pretty much filled with a mix of everything, but I have very clearly segregated this one space only for classics. But because my shelf is quite narrow and it's not broad enough to accumulate all the classics that I own, so there are a few classics here and a few here. Can you see that stack, the tall one? Yes, I know it's not in the best condition as of now, but yeah, I promise I'll change my room. It's very small and I'm helpless. I don't know where to keep all my books, but yeah, that one stack is again filled with classics mostly, okay, except for the top 3. Everything else there is a classic. Not that I have read all the classics that I have here and here, but I have read most. So because I have read a lot of classics, and there was a time when I would read classics almost every month. So classics do definitely need time, and they actually demand a lot of attention. So I'm not being able to kind of give a lot of attention to books as of now. That is the reason classics have taken a backseat, and I'm sweating like a pig, but we can't help because it's supremely humid and I don't have an AC at my room. Because today is Sunday and I have no other days off, and I'm dedicating this video to all the people who wanted to see classic recommendation part 2, and here we go. We have amazing classic recommendations in this video, 5 very short classics. I'm hoping that I'll be justifying you with the books that I'm going to recommend you today, because these are short, crisp, very beautiful. In terms of writing, obviously they are classics for a reason, and for all the other reasons that we will discuss in the video. But let me know how this intro looks like, because this is the first time that I'm holding my camera for this long and talking to you all. My hand is literally breaking down, but we can't help. So yeah, I'll place this camera in the stand, make my setup a little bearable, and then we'll meet you. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Simran. If you are new to my channel, I am really grateful that you stopped by to view my channel or see if it matches your interest. If it does, please consider subscribing to my channel, because I see a lot of you kind of view my videos but you are not my subscribers, so it would be grateful if you could subscribe to my channel. And also people who have been my subscribers since day 1, always grateful. Thank you so much for being here and supporting me. It means a lot to me. Firstly, let me give you a disclaimer. If you are getting a lot of background noises, it's because there's a construction going on and we are almost amid this noise. So I am bound to make videos amid this, so please kind of manage. Maybe I would try to edit it as much as possible, but I'm not sure how far I can do it or make it possible. But yeah, today's video is all about the next 5 books that I promised to recommend you in the first video, where I talked about the first 5 books. And I actually should be mentioning 6 books technically, but I have only a list of 5, because from the first list where I had 11 books incorporated in one single list, kind of got lost. Okay, I lost the list, and now I don't know which were the other 5 to 6 books that I was planning to recommend. But I just curated a list of 5 books that I am sure that I didn't mention earlier, and I am sure that it's going to be quite helpful for you to pick your first classic, maybe, because these are less intimidating small in size. So all the aspects I have very clearly noted down that, what could be the major reasons why somebody is not picking up a classic is because apparently because of the size, maybe, or because of the writing, a lot of other things as well. So I have kept that in my mind while I was picking these books, and these are the 5 that I could collate. We have yeah, we have 5 books in no particular order. Nothing as such कि पहला जो mention करी वो सबसे best है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. All these books are my favorites. All these books are good and best in their own individual ways. It's just that there's one book that is a little intimidating and a non-fiction also at the same time. So yeah, let's first talk about the first book in this list, which is a very popular book. एट वन पॉइंट इंस्टाग्राम पे तो मतलब एक बैंड वैगन चालू हो गया था इस बुक को पढ़ने के पीछे. देयर वाज अ ट्रेंड वेयर एवरीबडी वाज रीडिंग दिस बुक एंड एवरीबडी वाज जंपिंग इनटू वन बैंड वैगन ऑफ रीडिंग दिस बुक एंड टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस बुक एंड but I did not read it at that point. I did not get influenced because the world was reading it. I read it much later because I wanted to experience something different from this author. I remember reading this author. I remember as in what I read this author twice earlier, and I feel that this one author still needs a little more maturity to understand him, and I think I don't have that yet. But then I read somewhere that this one book that I'm going to talk about now is a book that is very different from what generally is his forte. So I read this book, okay, and the book is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I know the world have read it, the world knows about it, but yet if you think that बहुत ज़्यादा hype है, and if you're somebody like me who does not want to jump into a hype because the world is reading the book, so you don't want to read the book because you are not somebody who kind of works as per the trend, I think even then you're gonna read this book because I am also somebody like you. मतलब दुनिया पढ़ रही है उसका मतलब ये नहीं कि मुझे भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा, but I think White Nights deserve the hype, and the hype that it got is for real, like it deserves it. Okay, now White Nights is mostly about a man and his unrequited love for a girl that he kind of stumbles upon one fine evening that he's walking and passing by, and then he basically tries his best possible way to win the girl, and eventually that does not happen. Okay, it is a heartbreaking and devastating novel, obviously, but again, as much hopeful as he is to fall in love and making this love successful, it still remains unrequited, and it is that beautiful. It is beautiful because of this one thing, that it is an unrequited love story. We know this protagonist as a dreamer and his lover as Nastenka, yes. This entire White Night story is basically divided into 4 nights where this dreamer meets his lover, not like lover, but his muse, and kind of just falls in love with her, and in return what he gets is very devastating. So yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, the writing is absolutely stunning. I mean, it's very different from what we read in the magnum opus, which is the Brothers Karamazov, and also in Crime and Punishment. It's very different. It is a love story but unrequited, and it's so beautiful. So I think for people who want to experience Dostoevsky's writing but are scared from his psychological delve into novels, I think White Nights can be one very nice pick. It is very short. Also, it has another story which is known as Bobok, another great story, but I think White Nights is one of my most favorite stories of all time now, despite the fact that I have read 2 of his very well loved books. But I think White Nights still remains my favorite and tops the list, and I highly recommend this book because it beautifully captures the ache of wanting to be seen, wanting to be loved. It has a lot to do with solitude, a lot to do with longing, a lot to kind of make you realize and fall in love with the word love, despite the fact that it's unrequited. But you get to know कि भाई प्यार एक तरफा भी होता है, and people who are in one-sided love kind of affair, I think this one book fits perfectly into your list. The next one book is one book that was very surprisingly good in a way that I was not expecting to love it so much. Firstly, maybe because of the fact that I didn't know what the theme was, and I just jumped into the book blind trusting my sister who recommended this book to me in the first place. And why I say that is because this book discusses a queer relationship. It has a lot to do with identity, a lot of guilt, a love triangle, and all of those things. So when I say identity, I naturally mean that you come out as a queer or the LGBT community member. Now, I don't have anything against LGBT community or the queer community. I feel that they are as they are good, but for me to read and to visualize them, I feel a little uncomfortable, so I stay away from books that deal with queer relationships in general. So this book was quite a surprise to me when I loved the book at the end, because of the fact that I was reading this book and I was in love with the book while I was reading it, and then I come across a fact that this book have now suddenly started to discuss about queer and identity, and now I should be feeling uncomfortable because that is how I naturally am. But then I love it more. I fall in love with the book because of the beautiful writing, because of the reality checks, because of everything that the book delivers. Okay, and the book is Johannes Room by James Baldwin. I know you have seen this book all across the globe. You know what this book is about. I don't think that James Baldwin in himself needs any self introduction. We know enough of this man already, but this one book is hell beautiful. Okay, it has so much to do with vulnerability. I love books that kind of makes you feel uncomfortable, but at the same time that makes you question your vulnerability, but at the same time gives you comfort कि भाई तुम अकेले नहीं हो जो vulnerable feel कर रहा है, मैं भी हूँ. The character screams that to you, and I feel this kind of books kind of stays longer with me. And I don't think James Baldwin's writing needs any introduction. The writing is absolutely chef's kiss. If you're not reading this book for anything else, read this book for the writing. You will fall in love with good writing, and then there's no looking back. The third one is the questionable book, or should I say a little intimidating book, because when I was reading this book, I had a hard time reading this book. But then again, I recommend this book because it is a very informative, very intelligent, and very essential book. Essential for all times. It is for everybody and anybody, irrespective of anything. Especially, I would highly recommend that if you're a man, read this. And the book is The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. It is an extract version from the original whole lot of a book, which is a very thick chunk of a book, because I knew that I would feel overwhelmed by this entire subject of scandal that the book discusses. I knew that I have to get the smaller version of it, so I got the smaller version, and I read this book for taking over a period of 2 months, I guess, if I'm not wrong, because it is so tough, so overwhelming, and so heavy that you cannot binge read it. You cannot. At least I could not. And it is one of the books that demands a lot of attention, a lot of research, a lot of new things that you're going to learn from this book. So you obviously cannot read it in a spree. You have to take one page at a time. So that is how I took a long time with this book, and I think that this book deserves to be in your reading list if you haven't already read Simone de Beauvoir. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, but this book basically changed my perception on women for life now. So if you are still skeptical about women and how they have kind of fought all their lives to become who they are, and if you don't know what women are, read The Second Sex. You will know what women need and what women are and how they exist and what they have been struggling for all their lives, and all about women altogether. So yeah, Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex, a little overwhelming read, but I'm sure if you pick this one, you're not going to put it down before you actually kind of wrap this book altogether. My only suggestion to you if you're reading this book is keep something lighter on the other hand, because this book is quite heavy. Irrespective of the size of the book, it obviously looks small and you would think भाई ये तो मैं एक ही दिन में ख़त्म कर लूँगी, but it's not possible because of the context or the content of the book. So you might want to keep something lighter on the other hand, so that you can simultaneously manage both the books together, and that will help you go through this book. But otherwise, it is a must read. The fourth one is a book by Sadat Hassan Manto, and it is a translatory book. It is a collection of short stories. Now, Sadat Hassan Manto is an author who would never sugarcoat. Okay, his writing, when I was reading this book, made me uncomfortable. Like, obviously it is a collection of short stories. Not every story has to deal with partition or the brutality of partition. There were certain chapters or certain stories that made me quite uncomfortable because of various reasons that you will only find out once you read the book. And it is originally written in Urdu, if I'm not wrong, and then translated by Atish Tasir. and it is an amalgamation of 12 short stories. A few of them are still very vivid in my mind, considering the fact that I read in 2022. It's a big deal. So it only happens when you read a good book, and an outstanding book maybe. And this is the book. Okay, this is Manto selected short stories, including Toba Tek Singh and the Dog of Tithwal. Now, Toba Tek Singh is one of my most favorite stories from this entire collection, and there are a few others as well. Yeah, there are a couple of others. The red marked ones are my favorite short stories. I don't know if how clear is that, but yeah. This is another book. If you want to read something without sugarcoat, or if you want to read something in the rawest form possible, and if you want to experience something from partition, because you apparently did not experience it yourself, but you want to experience it through literature, I think this one book can really come in handy. Also, the fact that this is very lucidly written without losing any essence from the originality and original text, and also the fact that this comes with short stories, so you are not overwhelmed by the book anyways, because you can read just one story each day, and that can also keep you going. I think this one book expresses humanity in its most rawest, most brutal, most chaotic manner, and once you read all of these, you just can't unsee it, you just can't unread it. You will keep thinking about it long after you're done with the story or the book altogether. The next and the last one, which is the fifth recommendation, is my most favorite books of all time, like one of my most favorite classics. I don't know why people are not talking about this book much. I don't see a lot of people discuss about this book or talk about this book, but I have to tell you that if you have to read just one classic this year, irrespective of your sex or your gender, please consider reading Sultana's Dream and Padmar by Sokeya Shahawat Hussain. This comes with two stories. Okay, one is Sultana's Dream and one is Padmarag. Both the stories so bold. It is basically a story of a world where women leads the world, okay, built on peace and intelligence. So it has nothing to do with war. Like, women are ruling this world, but without war, without agendas, without politics. They are just ruling it with utmost peace and intelligence by reading good books and stuff. So it brews so much positivity in you when you read this book. And also the fact that it was written long ago, but it is ahead of their time. I was extremely shocked by the fact that despite the fact that it's written so long ago, it is so ahead of its time. It's extremely eye-opening, I would say, extremely eye-opening. If you haven't read this feminist classic literature, you are missing out on something very amazing, very exceptionally done. And I think this one should be in your reading radar this year, irrespective of any genre that you love or you don't. This one deserves to be in your reading list this year. I obviously highly recommend this book because this book kind of reminds you that women have long been seeking for the freedom that they apparently did not get or receive, and they're still doing it. So these are the 5 books that I highly recommend if you're somebody who wants to read classics but think that you definitely need a high scale classic knowledge, or maybe you should be from the English literature background, because I am personally not. So if you're somebody who is not from the English literature background but are scared to read classic because you think that these are like quite tough and jaw breaking and all of those things, I think you gotta read these books to figure out if this one genre works for you. So if you're somebody who wants to read the rawest form of humanity, I think this is the book for you. I absolutely love this book. If you want to read something about feminism and about women and their struggle and the hardships that a women have been through all their life and all throughout their existence in a non-fiction context, which can be a little overwhelming, but is a must read, I think The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir is the pick for you. If you're somebody who wants to read a queer novel but in a classic format, and you want to read that book in such a beautiful language, I think Johannes Room by James Baldwin is the pick for you. If you're somebody who is in a one-sided love affair, or who is in love with somebody who doesn't apparently reciprocate the same feeling, or maybe if you're somebody who wants to experience how unrequited love can look like and how beautiful that experience is altogether, although sad and devastating but beautiful in its own way, I think White Nights is the pick for you. If you want to see how the world will look like with women ruling it, how women are going to kind of lead the the world into a better place, read this classic. This is the best thing that you can read this year. So yeah, with this we come to the end of the video. I have shared a list of 10 books altogether now. The first part will be linked below or in the I button, so do not forget to watch that one after you complete this video. And let me know what is your favorite classics of all time, or what are the kind of bookish content that you would want to see in my channel more often. I am very grateful that you could recommend me this idea of filming the part 2 of this classics, because I know it was overdue for the longest. So yeah, if you have any kind of suggestions or any kind of recommendations, or your most favorite classic recommendation for me, put it in the comments below, and I will take the recommendations extremely seriously, because I love reading books, and I love taking classic recommendations very seriously. If you like this video, consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then,